Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we wrapped up the rear diff cover. I do need to pick up some limited slip additive to go along with the fluid. So I'm not going to add any fluid yet. So we're going to go ahead and get these brakes figured out. First thing I'm going to do is buzz off the rotor surface on the hub there, as well as clean up a little bit more of the e-brake mechanism. Basically just get it ready, get the rotor cleaned up and ready to test fit the parking shoe. You want it to just almost touch the inside of the rotor. You know, obviously not rubbing at all, but you know, just faintly, almost like a regular brake pad or a regular brake shoe. You want it to sort of ride like a wheel bearing or like a bearing, a standard metal bearing. Anyway, obviously you don't want it to burn up while you're driving if it's over adjusted, but you want it to be adjusted out enough to actually be able to operate. So we're going to switch to time lapse and just burn and buzz through the rest of this. So over now. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the rear differential filled up. This is the next day from the very last segment you watched. I did have to get some limited slip additive to throw in that differential. As you may recall, there's some sort of a limited slip apparatus, if you will, within the differential there. So I picked that up, I squirted it in first, and then slowly added the correct gear fluid. In this case, it was 80 weight 90. And then I proceeded to, on the driver's side, which is the opposite side of this side, I proceeded to clearance the backing plate as well as the rotor, because pretty tight clearance where the backing plate slips in between the pad surface and the back end where the parking brake shoe rides. Anyway, got that all cleared up, and I'm about to do a time lapse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wire wheel the caliper there. I already did it a little bit, I think. Wire wheel that bad boy. I'm going to wire wheel the bracket. I'm going to re-lube the slides, and then I'm going to clean everything up, install the bracket, install the pads, and then of course at the same time run that piston back in. Technically you are supposed to loosen the brake bleeder screw and back the fluid out that way. Honestly, I'm just going to push it up through the master cylinder. I've got the cap loose. I've never had any issues with it, but to do it correctly, you should be, you know, cracking that bleeder screw. The argument is you're getting debris possibly backed up in the system. Who knows? Anyways, guys, we'll do the time lapse, and appreciate y'all tuning in for this 02 GMC Envoy. We've done the pinion seal, the axle seals. We've done the parking brake shoes, and we're finishing off with new rotors and some pads. And this thing is going to be ready to rock and roll. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to slow down. We got everything fitted up with the piston pushed back. I had to bend out a piece of aluminum because my little wood idea did not work. Got everything cleaned up. I got these pads here. I'm about to dress up the ends. Just dive them in. Before I put the frame on, I lubricated the new hardware and then I wiped it. So you don't want to have to get the goo on the rotor. So anyways, I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to make this thing happen. A lot of times with the pads, unless you see a lot of debris on them, you know, just spray them down a little bit, get a nice liberal amount on the butt end of the deal. You know, obviously getting around the corners. And then a lot of times pads are very directional, so to speak. These happen to be a very universal pair with wear indicators on each side of the pad on all four. And start with one side, line up the next, and let's see here. There you go. You just want to get it in there. There's 3 different contact points. There you go, boom. Seat your pads fully. I like to come back after this is all cleaned. I like to lubricate the piston head surface, and then the points of contact for the outboard pad. After you get a nice amount of this, make sure there's a nice little buffer zone. This has always worked out for me. Just kind of sweep around here. You know, make sure there's none overhanging. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that stuff's gonna save your butt as far as noise. It's a noise insulator. It makes the pads feel like butter. You know. So now, I definitely need to get a wrench in this inboard nut, but these are about to be wrapped up. Let me just see if these are 14s. Yep. There. Let's see what we can do with the 3/8. Ultimately, if you're in a hurry, it's about utilizing your tools well, you know. So I'm just gonna run them down, but I'm gonna hand tighten those. I'm gonna hold the inboard nut, which is the housing of the slide. Except you don't want to risk stripping that at all. And all I need is a 14 wrench. If you're familiar with the stuff and you know the torque, you know, hit it. You'll know if you're confident. If you know your torques. Alright, that's nice. I could probably just buzz these down. I usually put a pair of channel locks on it, and then just buzz them down. But like you said, it's been a while since I've been kind of in the game, so I just want to make sure, especially this isn't going to be my vehicle. So the brakes are done. I am going to grease these Zorks right here. See, you know, anytime you're mechanicking around, make sure you look at the opportunity to provide value, especially if you're charging for it. People love mechanics to try to save them some money. Hey, by the way, I noticed when I was in there, you had some grease fittings in the rear end, just $5. I went in and greased them for you. Like, oh, thanks, you know, $5 takes you 5 seconds. Anyways, nice value, guys. Last one to your garage, baby. This is how I would put together a rear brake. I'm gonna go over and do the other side. I might do it in time lapse. I might just end the video here. Well, definitely not ending the video, but Hope y'all are doing well and keep on wrenching, as they say. Okay, everybody, we got the everything's set. Got the rotors. First of all, got the fluid added with the limited slip additive. Topped off, tightened up. Both rotors are adjusted to the parking brake. The initial adjustment. What you want to do is, again, like I said before, is they just should barely touch the inside of the rotor. Just barely. If it's too much, you have trouble getting them on and off, as you may have seen. Got the frames cleaned up, bolted on with new hardware, lubricated, got the pads. So what we're gonna do, without further ado, is we're gonna close the cap. Probably I could leave it undone. We're just gonna basically get these rear pistons extended back out. There it is, hard. And then, oh yeah, test that e-brake. You want to feel resistance pretty much right away. So this thing's golden. We're basically ready to bolt up the wheels. So let me just do that. Let's do this here. All right, everybody, didn't get very far. See all the attention we paid to cleaning the rotor, the front surface of the axle hub. The rotor's obviously new. We cleaned up everything there, so we want to clean up everything here. It's pitted. It is an aluminum wheel, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But especially if it was a steel wheel, you want to basically clear off all that rust. Make sure there's a clean mating surface, or else you will develop vibration, just overall lack of smoothability. Man. I'm glad that turned off. I wanted to talk about this. Let me make sure. So, obviously, you don't want to just buzz it out, right? You want to make sure this wheel is flat. The best way I've found to do that is to kneel down, get both your knees involved below the halfway surface of the tire, so you can kind of move up with it. And then, so lock it down and then push it up, and you'll find your flat spot. Now you're free to do the crisscross. Do the first one, second, third, get them all snug. Get them more snug before you even start to tighten it up. Boom, boom, Alright, now my guess is probably about 85 foot-pounds. I will always want to follow up, especially on a client vehicle, with the torque wrench. I like to get all wheels at least up to 100. The heavier duty vehicles, more. The lighter duty automotive applications, obviously less. So we're not going to do that yet. I'm going to roll. Let's see here. You can do it. There you go. Yeah, this is taking me a few days, guys. Alright. I'm gonna buzz this real quick. Alright, good enough. Took a lot of rest. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to torque these down. We're going to get this thing off the ground. And, whoops. This thing rocking and rolling. Okay, last but not least, so with the added new pad life, we have a level of brake fluid right below the max. I'm going to leave it right there. A reason why is the fronts have probably worn that much. So remember guys, this is also supposed to be a little bit of a brake pad wear indicator. Sort of, as long as it's properly maintained and looked at. But if there's no leaks, no mechanical issues, you should be able to look at your brake fluid and realize, oh, looks like this amount of pad width has, you know, worn down. We gotta get those pads. So it's a quick way to do a brake inspection, but certainly not, you know, definitely not 100% provable 100% of the time. You got to know what you're doing. So we got this cap on tie. We're going to check the oil. Of course, we're going to check the rest of the tire pressures. Take this thing for a test drive. And this 2002 GMC Envoy. Initial complaint was rear rotors warped and pinion seal. We went ahead and did the rear differential pinion seal. Found out the axle seals were leaking and went ahead deeper and got those out. Changed the fluid, got new limited slip additive. Who knows if it was in there before. Got new rotors, new pads, Everything's, the parking brake did not work before. I got it adjusted out, so it should wear in nicely. I would say in 6 months, you probably need to go in there and adjust it out just a tad bit. But other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in. There's the XL70 future project, a little 2-stroke cold smoke snowblower I'm getting going for my buddy. And the old Big Red still is in progress. Over and out. Thanks for watching, everybody.